Well, good morning. This is the 2026 Channel CropCast, and I am Tyler Brugdenhill, technical agronomist here in South Central Nebraska, here on July 22nd. And without further ado, let's jump right into our weather update here. Looking at Grand Island this week for a location and an April 20th plant date, running about 108 GDDs ahead of what we would consider normal in a 30-year trend line. And similarly, if we look at an April 20th plant date in terms of precipitation, south central Nebraska has actually started to slough back into what we would consider more droughty conditions. I know there's a lot of people giggling right now saying, geez, Tyler, we've been in droughty conditions for 3 weeks now. But yes, according to this official chart, out of 134 years, 134 would be the driest. We're in the 80. We're right at 80 now for precipitation. So 80th wettest year on record. So as you can see, we've kind of slipped back into what we would consider more droughty conditions. But here for the next 3 days, better rain chances than we've seen for sure in the past 2 weeks. So hopefully everybody, specifically South Central Nebraska, but maybe even for a greater geography, picks up some much needed precipitation after the couple weeks of 90s that we've been through here. So definitely appreciate cooler high temperatures, but probably more so being in corn pollination and soybean pod set. Probably more than anything, appreciating some really nice cooled off nighttime temperatures too. So it'll be a welcome break and kind of breath of fresh air for this crop. Now, I already mentioned this, but yeah, when we look at the corn crop for south central Nebraska, anywhere from just starting to tassel to even some in the blister to even milk stage, I found yesterday. But for the most part, right around soaking for most everybody. Again, from what I've found, even with the intense heat, couple things really stick out to me with this crop compared to a year ago. Number one, pollination is going really well. Even through the heat, we're doing a nice job, I feel like, of keeping up with watering. Hopefully, Mother Nature helps us out here in the short go. But the reality is, if I look at where we were a year ago today, even from a disease cleanliness piece on a corn crop basis, just night and day difference. We were already battling southern rust at this point a year ago. The reality is, I continue to see bacterial leaf streak being the biggest culprit, which, as we've talked about in previous weeks, really has not been shown to be yield limiting in terms of a factor. But again, probably my biggest culprit that I'm fighting in fields. I can find tar spot. The incidence or the severity of that tar spot, I would say, is much lower than what I expected it to be at this point. So, again, very, very welcomed. But with the weather that we've got coming in the next few days here, could that change? That's something we're going to continue to monitor as both crop consultants and technical agronomists as we watch this crop continue to progress into the growing season. Now, with that being said, has things changed on the southern rust front? Yes, they have, 100%. So we do have a confirmed county in Kansas, several in Missouri, and now quite a few in Iowa. So is it starting to be more of a presence? Yeah, for sure. And it definitely could be in Nebraska, just not confirmed yet. I have not been able to find it, and this is a disease based on the last 2 years that we've been looking for really diligently. A lot of fungicide going on, not only last week, but continuing again this week, a lot of planes in the air. So it's, again, something we continue to monitor. But again, where we were last year with this at this point in the growing season, specifically with corn, in terms of disease, excuse me, in terms of disease severity, it's just night and day difference. I just feel like corn hybrids are so much cleaner this year wherever I'm walking them in my territory. So the other side of that is battling on the insect side. A lot of guys opting to throw some sort of a insecticide in, battling whether it be western bean cutworm is basically one of the most main culprits. Really an 8% threshold to be able to treat there. A lot of guys making that fungicide pass and finding that they're definitely within that realm. So we're opting to treat. Corn rootworm beetles continue to come out and for sure are becoming an issue on some of the continuous corn acres. The coaching that I continue to give there, make sure that we're seeing those gravid females. The only reason that we treat those beetles is to obviously take care of that next population for next year. If we're not controlling those gravid females or we're treating too early, we're really not doing much in terms of population control, and we're probably still going to see them next year, um, just based on not treating the gravid female piece. Japanese beetles is another one that I would say I've seen a few in cornfields silk clipping, but on the other side of that, probably more problematic in soybean fields with defoliation right now. So we're going through pod fill, and we're trying to not only go through pod fill for the flowers that have already been pollinated, but continue to put more flowers on in the uppermost nodes. That's something we're going to want to continue to watch. So again, continue to think about the diseases that are already here and confirmed, i.e., tar spot, when you're making that fungicide choice. I know a lot of these have already been made, but be thinking about that Delaro complete piece of tar spot control when you're making that fungicide decision. We already talked about soybeans a little bit. This is one that I continue to get questioned on week after week. Hey, when should I turn the water on? This is the time to be watering those. If we put a soybean through a stress period in R3, i.e., the start of pod fill through the end of R5, we're really taking away the opportunity to not only fill that pod with more beans, but then the size and dimension of those soybeans in those pods. So make sure we're doing our diligence to take as much stress as we can off of these soybeans with diligent watering, and then continue to watch those Japanese beetles thresholds as well. So, as always, thanks for another great week. Make every acre count, and best of luck to all those county fair exhibitors out there. Thanks. Have a great week.